Thank you for downloading ManageEngine ServiceDesk Plus. In this video, we are going to discuss about Service Catalog Management. What is Service Catalog? It's an IT organization's menu card providing the list of services the organization offers to its employees. Now let's take a quick tour on Service Catalog Management in ServiceDesk Plus. From the list of templates that admin has created, when an end user logs in, they get to see those templates that are published for their view. Once the end user chooses a template, they would get the delivery time, setting the right expectation when the service will be delivered. Now, from the list of resources available, users can choose options, and by choosing them, appropriate fields with right data is populated, helping users to choose the correct information and submit the form. Once the request is created, the request status changes to on hold, sending it for approval, and when the technician logs into the ticketing system, they get to view the tickets that are being sent for approval. Upon approving the ticket status changes to open state, helping appropriate tasks to be triggered. Now, once the ticket is approved, the ticket status changes to open, SLAs starts to calculate, corresponding tasks are triggered based on dependencies. Now, let's discuss in detail how Service Catalog in ServiceDesk Plus can be configured. To start with, we are going to discuss about creating service categories. Service categories can be created under the Admin tab, either under Service Categories or under Service Catalog. We can create new service categories. The service categories are of two types: IT Service Category and Business Service Category. IT Service Categories are services that's offered within the organization, and Business Service Categories are services that's offered to the client users. When we click on the corresponding IT or Business Service Category, we fill in the details about the particular service and click on Save. Once saved, the service categories will be listed underneath the service catalog. Here's a tip regarding service categories. This service category will also be used in CMDB to track and maintain relationships related to the service. So once we go into CMDB, on the left hand side we have IT services and business services listed. So even if there is no service offered for the specific service category, we can add the same and frame relationships. So here is one of the service category that's been created. Upon viewing the relationship, we would get information such as how many change requests or incident or service requests are being created right against that particular service category. Also, there are relationships stating how this particular service has been linked within the organization, where it's been hosted, who is taking care of the same. Now, once the service categories are created, let's discuss how a particular service template or a form is being created. Let's take the classic example of a new hire form. During our implementation with different customers, most of them would like to replicate their paper form into a template in Service Catalog, and the common form that they ask us to replicate is the new hire form. So let's take a look on a predefined form that we have created based on users' requirement and discuss how the values and the form is created. So the form that we are trying to work on has four sections. One is going to be Form Designer, next is the Workflows, third is the Requester's View, fourth is Field and Form Rules to perform automation on the fields. Form Designer, this is where we are going to populate all the required information that needs to be fetched from the user who is using the form. The information can be submitted using our default values that we already have in the application. Plus, we can also create additional fields. Now let's discuss about the additional fields in Service Catalog. Under Admin, under Service Catalog, we have Service Catalog additional fields. These additional fields are of two types. Common additional field. This will be available across all the templates created under every different service category. Then we have category-based additional fields being available for that specific service category. Then under admin, we have incident additional fields. Over here, we can create a new additional field, and this has single line, pick list, multi-select like different checkboxes, multi-line field, numeric, date and time, and decimal field as available in service catalog additional field as well. And there is a small checkbox which we can enable, so this field will be made available for both incident and service request. Now once the additional fields are created, on the left hand side you will have the new additional fields that's created either as a common or a service category based additional field, plus the common field that we have created under incident additional field. We can make use of these fields into the form, and when we scroll down, the next area under the form designer is the resource section. Resource section helps us to create blocks of data replicating fields from a paper form along with its subclassification in form of sections. When we click on add resource, we can give a resource title and we can choose from an existing question, or we can add a new question. The questions are of 4 types: a simple yes or no, drop down, checkboxes, or plain text. Upon creating the questions, they would be listed right on the form, and we can rearrange how the fields or how the values need to be populated. At the bottom of the form designer, we have options to publish this template to technician groups or to the requester groups. Now, if this option is unchecked, the template is now only visible for technicians. If I enable this option and not have any groups selected, this form is applicable for all the requesters and technicians. When I choose a specific user group, then this form is available for all the technicians and only to HR team. Now, how do I create user groups, and where does user groups come into picture? Under admin, I have user groups. I can create user groups based on their name, email ID, job title, or site and department. Using these criteria, users will be grouped and will be listed. These user groups can be used under knowledge base, under incident templates, service templates, and announcements in ServiceDesk Plus. Once the form has been designed and customized, now we are going to save and configure the workflow. Under workflow, we have approval section. In ServiceDesk, we have 5 stages of approval, and on each stage we can have as much as approvals required. There are certain variables in the approval that we need to discuss. Department head and reporting to. They are variables that's configured under admin, department, and under each department we can say who the department head is. So a requester or a technician can be added as a department head, helping the request to be sent to approval to the specific department head when the corresponding department is set on the request. Reporting to. This is an option that's been fetched from Active Directory Managers field into requesters and technicians profile. Now, when we edit a requester or a technician's profile, underneath their configuration, we see a field called reporting to, which has been fetched from Active Directory. We can also populate this data manually and can be used in Service Catalog's approval process. Apart from this, we can also enable requesters or technicians to be part of service request approval, who will be listed on the approval process for each service template. And then finally, we have organization's role introduced. So using organization's role, which is available under admin, organizational roles, over here, we can create different roles and add corresponding members and users into the roles. So these roles are either grouped based on region, site, department, or organization, and these are the roles that will be listed under the approval stages. So using them, we can also involve organizational roles to be part of the approval process. Next, we are going to discuss about SLAs for service request. Unlike incident requests, SLAs in service requests are predefined and set on a template. This helps us to populate the SLA right at the time of ticket creation, setting the right expectations to the users. So in incident, the SLAs are triggered based on criteria, whereas in service request, the SLAs are applied to the template. So upon choosing the response and resolution time and clicking on save, we have SLAs created, which is available on each template. So when an end user or a technician chooses a form, the corresponding SLA will be populated, setting up the expected hours for the service to be delivered. Next, we have tasks and task dependencies in service catalog. So the template that we are working is a new hire template, which requires activities to be done by different groups or teams in the organization. So we can add a task manually, or we can use task templates and create tasks from the list of templates already available. Now once the tasks are created, all the tasks are listed right over here. Now here is a tip on how tasks has to be configured if we are going to work on task dependencies. While creating a task, we can assign the task to a particular group and to a specific technician. However, set all the tasks as mark. So setting the task as mark will assign this task to IT group and to this particular technician, but not populate on the technician's profile until this task is triggered. So I can save all these tasks by setting the value as mark. This way, the tasks will only be made available to the specific group and technician in their profile, but not be visible on anyone's login. Now, how can I trigger all these tasks since I've set them as mark? Upon the request getting approved, we have an option to automatically trigger the tasks once the service request is approved. This way, based on the task dependencies that we are framing, the first level of tasks would get triggered to the assigned group or technician, and upon completing or closing these tasks, the subsequent tasks will be triggered. So creating all the tasks with mark by assigning it to a specific group and technician will record each task across their respective profile and not publish it in the user interface. And only when the tasks are triggered manually or through an approval option, the tasks will be made available to all the technicians or the technician groups. Once the tasks are created, we have different options that we could do to set up actions on a template. These actions are based on request custom menu, which we will be discussing in a while under admin configuration. Now I click on save and configure requester. So this is a place where I'm going to rearrange the structure of fields as how it is supposed to be shown when an end user is trying to use this template. Finally, we are going to discuss about field and form rules. How does field and form rules help in a template? Field and form rules helps us to build a dynamic form using different conditions. Now these conditions are of three types. One is when loading a form, which is as a user or as a technician, when I choose a particular form, this is form load. So I have created operations such as disabling the subject field so that users will not change the content of the subject field. So operations performed when pulling out a form is called on form load. Then I have options to do on field change, which means once the form is loaded and when I change a field from a particular value to a different value, I have operations that can be performed, enabling a whole set of different fields. So these are operations that's working based on field change. Finally, on form submit. So these are fields that helps us to populate information or trigger tasks based on choices chosen on submitting the form. So I'm choosing the options on a service template. I'm filling out the form for a new joinee. I'm defining all the fields that's required. I already have my approvals set, and I'm clicking on Add Request. Once clicking on Add Request, using field and form rules, I've built an intelligence to populate an alert message to fill in relevant fields. Now, after filling all the appropriate information, I click on Add Request. Once I click on Add Request, the request is created. The request is created with the values that's been set on the form, and the tasks that's been configured on the template has been triggered based on the dependencies that's configured. So this way, using field and form rules, we can automate or build an intelligence on the form to populate the right fields, and upon submitting the form, we can trigger tasks as required and also populate pop-up information that is required based on the fields and help users provide the right information required. Now, once the ticket is created and when we need to perform certain operations from a service ticket to different tools, we have options to integrate those tools as a menu icon in ServiceDesk Plus. This can be accomplished using Request Custom Menu, which is available under the Admin tab. Request Custom Menu. Over here, we can add a new menu by providing its name, choose the roles it's applicable for, choose the templates under which it needs to be listed, and populate the script information and click on Save. This way, the custom menu fields will be listed under the respective template on the tickets while working on the tickets. More information regarding to this integration will be available in our admin guide and also under resources.manageengine.com.